Hey guys, how's it going? Just wanted to go over a new exciting car purchase that I am going over. This all started right around Christmas time. You can see here on the screen is just a sample of what I had, but this was a Tesla Model 3. I was going to get the long range dual motor, all-wheel drive, solid black, 18-inch aero wheels, all black premium interior, and it's a pretty price, almost $70,000, and in fact with taxes, etc., yeah, it was closer to $80,000. So what is the purpose of this video? Well, I just want to raise some awareness of the experience that I faced, and basically I'll go over some details here. So I live, let's take a look at a map here on the screen. I live in Prince George, British Columbia. So we see here on the map, Prince George is right there. Can kind of take a look here at the map. Vancouver's way down here. You can see Calgary's way over there. Edmonton's way over there. Basically, for all intents and purposes, the same distance from Prince George to Vancouver, the same distance from Prince George to Calgary. About a 9-hour drive, either one. And why I point out these two cities, Vancouver and Calgary, is because I live in northern British Columbia. I'll zoom out a little bit more so you can see Canada here, and Prince George once again is kind of right here in the middle of the province, but realistically there's not a whole lot north of here, just smaller cities. The city I live in is the largest city in the north part of the province. So I have two options if I want to buy a Tesla Model 3, and that is deal with Vancouver, deal with Calgary. Now Calgary's in a different province, so a little bit more complicated there. So I end up calling both of these dealerships. This is right around December 22nd, 23rd. Sent some emails, I called them, and basically I asked some questions about buying a Model 3. And let's go over those details. So I created a little spreadsheet here. Forgive the spelling mistakes. This is just to guide me along for this YouTube video. I'm hoping that you will hear what I have to say and maybe learn some things for yourself. Maybe it'll save you some hassle and help you understand how things work when you deal with Tesla in Canada. And I believe probably I've heard of a lot of similar experiences in some of these things in the States as well. So let's start off with a timeline. So I was considering getting a Model 3 back in the summer of 2019. Basically, I just had some interest there, heard a lot in the news about it, but I had some concerns which kind of held me back. And what were those concerns? Well, I asked myself, how would I charge the car? How does this whole thing work with charging? You know, I'm used to gas stations, and, you know, can I charge at home? What about when I drive away from home? How does that all work? I also had that thing which I would learn to be named range anxiety. So anytime I go for a long trip, you know, how far can I go? Am I going to run out of electricity? Am I going to be stranded? How does that all work? So it kind of goes hand in hand with the first one. Next one I had was, how will this car operate in northern Canadian climate? It gets pretty cold here. As a matter of fact, for the last 2-3 weeks, it's been minus 45 degrees Celsius. You can go look that up in Fahrenheit, not sure what it is, but very cold. And I just wanted to know what's the impact on electric vehicles and specifically on this Model 3. Then I said, how would I justify the high cost of this car? You know, when you compare it to other electronic vehicles, Teslas are pretty expensive. And then, of course, there was maintenance. How would maintenance work? Since I'm going to buy this car from either Vancouver or Calgary, what happens if something goes wrong? How am I going to get maintenance done? So those are some of the concerns I had. And let's just keep scrolling down here. So I watched quite a few YouTube videos about Teslas and Model 3s and all this, and I read a lot of news, and I spent a good 6 months getting to this point. This is not a small decision to make, and one of the largest purchases I would be making in my whole life. That's kind of how I came to this point. Finally, here's what tipped me over the edge, and that is I currently, we have a technology group here in Prince George where a bunch of us nerds get together once a month and share different topics. We meet at the university, and one of those talks, I was trying to find some speakers, and there's a guy here named Doug Beckett, and he kind of is one of the key members of the Northern BC EV group, and met with him at a Starbucks, and he presented 80 slides of a presentation that he's been giving apparently at a number of talks around here in town. And he went through those slides with me. We met in person, like I said, at Starbucks downtown, and he kind of alleviated a lot of my concerns. That conversation kind of tipped me over the edge and said, okay, maybe I should really seriously consider this. Add to that, some of my children are getting older. They're looking at getting a car for them, and it's getting a little bit more tricky for us with the cars that we have here. So I thought, okay, instead of looking for a car for them, I'll give my old ICE car to my son and daughter to drive, and I'll look at getting a Model 3. So a bunch of things here. So first thing was to get a home charger, and that would be like a level 2 home charger, a NEMA 1540, which is for all intents and purposes a dryer plug. So if you have an electronic dryer, it's basically that same kind of plug. And I know there's two different kinds. This one is the higher amperage plug. And then the Model 3 that I wanted also, so actually this first one, why I have this here, that's how I would charge at home. I would get a dryer plug, and that would be pretty good as a solution to be able to charge my vehicle, which is great. It's like having the gas station at home. So for 99%, or let's say 95% of the driving I do, just plugging it in at home, overnight, I'm going to be able to fill up to full blast. From like, if I was at 10% range, I'd get basically close to 100% range within 7 to 8 hours. Next thing is that the Model 3 that I wanted to purchase has a range of 500 plus kilometers, which is fantastic. That's going to basically allow me to travel most places, and in between those 500 kilometers, you know, there should be charging stations. I took a quick look, and it seemed reasonable. And I heard from Doug that in extreme cold, minus 25 Celsius and lower, that you will lose range, and you'll lose anywhere from like 30% to 50%. But if I really needed to go for a long drive, I always had my gasoline truck. So I kind of looked at all of that, and he pointed out, look, it's not like you're getting rid of all your gas vehicles, right? And I said, that's true. So he goes, well, where's your risk? And he made some good points. Also, the payback of that Model 3, I estimate for my own situation, it would be somewhere between, and these are very conservative estimates, it's probably going to be less, but between 15 to 20 years, the car is going to pay itself off. Probably, like I said, sooner than that, but and to me, for a brand new car, I felt that I would probably be keeping this car for its whole lifespan, so that seemed fine to me. Plus, with the fact that I wouldn't need to go to gas stations, like plug it in at home, there's also the fact that there's a lot less maintenance in these electronic cars. Electricity is a lot cheaper, probably will remain that way. At least where I live in British Columbia, we have a bunch of hydro dams here, and feel that our province, they're building a new one as well up north. I think from electricity point of view, we'll be fine. And then from a maintenance point of view, speaking with Tesla, they cover towing your car to one of their service centers. They'll pay for the tow there if they can't fix it here. So if it's a minor problem and I can keep driving the car, then I just keep driving it, and eventually Tesla will schedule a service appointment. They'll fly a guy in, he'll do his repairs and fly back. If it's something that's more major, then they'll pay for the towing down to Vancouver and fix it that way. But just as a side note, I would have to find a way to get the car back here. So there is a little bit of a hassle, but I don't expect a lot of maintenance, so that's what I was kind of hoping with that thought. So where did this all go from here? Well, I pulled the trigger in December of 2019. You can see here on December 23rd, I think it was. So I was debating again between Vancouver and Calgary. Which Tesla center should I deal with? And since Calgary, when I spoke with them, they promised that they would be able to deliver that Model 3 to my door, I decided to go with them. That was really the deciding factor. So I planned a week-long trip to a friend's place near Calgary, and that's when the problems began. So I created my Tesla account on December 22nd. On December 23rd, I asked Calgary Tesla, you can see the email here, and I kind of blanked out the specific person, but I said, let's summarize the remaining questions. Since this would be an out-of-province purchase, would I need to get it safety inspected in BC? Fair question. I also said, does the car come with winter tires? Obviously, I need to drive it back to PG. At this point, I was debating whether I should drive it or not. So that's the question in that email. Okay, I talk about this bank draft. And then I asked, could you show me a trip of where I could charge to make it back from Calgary? Because I kind of wasn't sure how the charging network would work out. Seemed kind of sketchy when I looked online. And what I mean by that, what I mean by sketchy is here you can see on the screen a better route planner. Going from Calgary to Prince George, it can't find a workable plan. There's not enough range to make it all the way. So it's kind of one of the reasons why I had asked them. Also, I asked about wall connectors, and here's what the reply was that I got back. Hope you're having a great Christmas Eve. You would not need an inspection because the vehicle's brand new. Okay, that's good. Car comes with all season tires. They do have winters in stock, so you can purchase that when I get there. Fine. The vehicle can do this with its built-in navigation. I can show you how it works when you arrive. Obviously, he didn't even look to see how the drive would be going from Prince George or going from Calgary to Prince George, because he would see that there's not enough charging stations, at least not with the adapters that Tesla gives me. There's no way to make it home. We currently don't have wall connectors. Please order it right away, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So, December 24th. And I should note, after this email, I made a phone call. My wife said, look, I don't want to drive the truck home from Calgary. I know you're excited to do this. And I thought, yeah, she's probably right. This is probably the worst time of year. Driving through the mountain passes, not a good idea. So I called them and I said, look, I'd like that option. You guys said you can deliver. Can we do the delivery? And they said, sure, no problem. We'll get it to you by the next Friday. So I'm like, this is all great. So that would be Friday, January the 3rd. So, because that was the thing, either I drive it home and I get it home by Friday, or they deliver it. So anyway, here we go. December the 24th, I order that Model 3 with them. It's the long-range all-wheel drive. I had a sample picture. This was the car that I ordered. They had it there in stock. Everything's good to go. Gave me a VIN number. I put my down payment. Arrangements were made for the winter tires. As you saw in the previous email, I said, yes, I need winter tires. Whether I'm driving it or not, I didn't want to have to figure out tires and all that stuff. It is winter time. And in Prince George, boy, you need winter tires. There's a lot of snow here. All right, so I call the Tesla rep, and instead of driving from Calgary to Prince George, which again would have been very difficult given the current charging options, like I showed on a better route planner, and no one ever mentioned this thing about a CHAdeMO adapter. which that's really the only way that I would be able to make it home, either from Vancouver or Calgary, but no one mentioned this. Anyways, they agreed to the free delivery to my home. That was the reason I ended up basically going with Calgary. And so here we go. Continue on. The order's been placed. On December 26th, I ordered the wall connector because remember in the previous message that I had copied and pasted in this text editor, we see the sales rep from Tesla saying, look, we're out of stock. It goes out of stock all the time online. Order one as soon as possible. So I ordered it on the 26th because it was in stock on the website. On the 27th, I get an email saying the wall connector shipped. Fantastic. That's all going great. On the 28th, here I am at my friend's place. I go there with my friend to the dealership in Calgary, December the 28th. I test drive a Model 3. First time I ever drove it. I pay in full using a bank draft. But what was interesting was, I go for the test drive with my friend. I come back. I give the bank draft, sign some papers. That all went fairly quick. And then they're like, okay, see you guys later. We'll deliver your car and all that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I said, I haven't had any orientation actually in how to use the car. So they actually let me drive the car without really giving any orientation. But I wanted to know how all the features worked. And I also said, and can I actually see my car? Like, is it here? I thought you guys said you had it in stock. And so the guy said, oh, yeah, I'll give you orientation. And yeah, I'll let you see your car. And I said, and by the way, what about the winter tires? It's critical that you guys get those winter tires on. And he was, oh, yeah, that's right. So they forgot a lot of things to me that were quite important that I communicated before. And really, there's one thing I need to stress with everyone that's watching this video, and that is you need to be on the ball. When you're dealing with Tesla, if you're not double, triple, quadruple checking, chances are something's going to get missed and you're going to get burned. That's one thing that I've really learned. So anyways, in the end, they did that. They did they sat us in like one of their display room models and did the orientation there. Then they showed me my car separately. Why they didn't do the orientation of my car, I don't know. But then they showed me my car. And then after, when it came to the winter tire thing, he goes, oh, yeah, we'll get it done on Monday. This was on a Saturday. He goes, but nobody's around service right now. So Monday, we'll give you a call and get that all figured out. We'll get the winter tires on before they ship it out. And I go, okay, great, fine. I was kind of annoyed at this point just because I felt like I wasn't sure that everything was going to get done and they had my money at this point. So anyway, so here we go. Monday, December the 30th. You can see here I have an exclamation marks. I get an email from the customer experience manager. I get an email saying, hi, Mark, thanks again for dropping off the bank draft and signing all the documentation on Saturday. We are currently trying to source a carrier to your home. I will keep you posted as this is secured. We have winters in stock and are currently putting them on your car. Please give service a call. Ask for blah, blah at your earliest convenience for payment. And they're talking about payment of the tires because I've already paid for the car. You can see here that's from Customer Experience Manager, Calgary. So there's a few questions I have at this point. I'm like, what? You guys said you're going to deliver the car on Friday. You're not keeping that promise. And you're sending an email to give me this news? An email? You're not even giving me a phone call? I'm like, okay. So this was why I picked Calgary over Vancouver in the first place, was they had it in stock, they're going to get it delivered, blah, blah, blah. And what I was told when I spoke to the original sales guy, we're motivated to sell by year end, right? Tesla wanted to get that those year end numbers up. They were motivated. They were going to do whatever it took. So I call this manager and I explain, look, I expect delivery as promised. And that's why I came to your dealership. They're out of province. So dealing out of province means insurance and a bunch of things are a little bit more tricky. Taxes, all that kind of stuff. So the reason I came to this province, the distance was the same between Vancouver and Calgary. But these guys supposedly were going to do something different here. And now they're saying, suddenly through email, whatever. So I'm like, you guys, you need to learn. If you're customer experience manager, you need to make a phone call. When something goes wrong or something major changes, you don't send an email. You got to do something here. So I get this email back after complaining. They go, "Hi, Mark, thanks for your call today." So I called them. Okay. As discussed, we are trying to source a carrier to your home. At this point in time, we're most likely looking into next week for delivery due to the limited trucks working for the new year. And I understand that, but you guys promised this the previous week. Should have had this all worked out. What's going on here? Logistics will keep me updated if we can get your truck sooner. However, if you'd like to come and get the car sooner, we'd be happy to fly you into Calgary. I mean, I'm 30 minutes away from Calgary. I just was there the other day talking to you guys. They must have assumed I went home or something. Anyway, now they're going to fly me to Calgary to pick it up? This is all, anyway, interesting to say the least. So at this point, I tell them, look, either you get the car by Friday as promised, or I'm going to cancel the order. This is what I say. I'm getting super ticked off now. I'm spending a lot of money and kind of feel like there's no customer service here. That I don't know. I'm just wondering what's going on. They're not even calling me when things get screwed up. They're just sending a bunch of emails, like a 5-year-old or something like that. They can't even talk to me on the phone. This is the customer experience manager. So I know I did something silly, but here you can see I sent an email to Elon Musk. I know it's silly, probably never read it. And I said, "Hi, Elon. I'm a software architect in Canada." Why I put my position, I don't know. Anyway, trying to buy a Model 3. I spent 6 months researching it. I decided last week to purchase a Model 3 all-wheel drive long range. As of now, I'm 12 hours away from canceling the order that I already paid for due to terrible customer service at Calgary, Alberta Tesla. They promised delivery by Thursday, Friday. Today they broke their promise. The attitude is a care less about it. And I want to stress that as well. Things happen and maybe they could make the delivery. But honestly, if you guys were on the phone and you saw these emails and everything, the way I saw it, these people didn't care. They just didn't really seem to care. They had my money, and at this point, they didn't care what happened. And so I say this to Elon. This is my last try and appeal to see if something can change soon. Maybe Elon is going to read it. I know on Twitter he answers people. Anyway, sincerely, Mark Vayvood. So I give Calgary one last chance. I send them an email. After talking to them, knowing that they're scrambling to find a delivery, I go, "Look, I want to make this clear and I want it somehow documented." So I send an email saying, "I see only 2 options to resolve this. Delivery by Friday, or," so I give another option because they talked about flying and stuff. So I go, "Look, you fly me to Calgary on Thursday or Friday. I'm going to drive home, get my wife home so she doesn't have to drive. You're going to fly me to Calgary on Thursday or Friday. You're going to switch the tires over to winter tires on the rims. You can keep the old tires, just put winter tires on. You're going to do that for free for all of this inconvenience. And then I'll drive it home myself." And I go, "You can keep the all seasons." Okay, and this is an $80,000 purchase at this point. They say they can't do it. They can't swap the tires. They can't do any of that. Eventually, they send this email. "Hi, Mark. Thanks for your emails. We are exploring all avenues, trying diligently to get a carrier for you." I mean, that's fine. That's what I wanted. "Would you like a call at noon my time or at noon your time?" Now, why did they say, "Would you like a call?" It's because I criticized them for not calling me in the first place. And I said, "Look, you guys need to call me and let me know what's going on at this point. We're at the 11th hour here. Need to call." So they're saying what time to call. So I say, "You call me by noon." Okay. So here it is, December 31st. Yes, folks, New Year's Eve. December 31st, I get a call from the sales guy. Now, this is not the original sales guy who I was dealing with originally. This is a different guy who I signed the papers with. And he calls, and this customer experience manager, she's on the call, but she's completely silent. No words to say. The sales guy says they found a carrier to bring the car by Friday. No worries. This was around lunchtime, New Year's Eve. And I'm like, fantastic. We're good to go. I'm like, thank you guys for keeping your word and for working hard to do this. Realize it's difficult. That's great. So I'm all happy at my friend's place. Then I give my mom a call to wish her, Happy New Year's, all that kind of thing. So while I'm on the phone with my mom and my brother on my cell phone, I hear a flashing noise with another call, and I see it's Tesla. I'm like, oh, great. So now 3 hours later, 3:15 p.m., this is Tesla calling to say the carrier canceled. I mean, they just accepted and canceled in the same day. Now I'm starting to wonder if these guys are even telling the truth. I don't know what they're doing here, okay? And so at this point, I can't even if I want to, I can't even get insurance because it's New Year's Eve, everything's closing, and there's no way I can get to, the Ministry of Transportation in Alberta in time. I was on the phone, I got on the phone right away with ICBC, which is the insurance company that we use in British Columbia, and I could have gotten things done there, but I couldn't get to anywhere in Alberta to get the side that I needed to get the temporary paperwork in Alberta. Because they had waited all these hours, now there's no way to even get insurance for me. I said, when I was talking to them, I go, look, how about I rent a trailer and drive it home? Because I had my F-150 right close to, I had it there close to town. And they're like, no, we don't think that's a good option. And I'm like, okay. So what did I do, guys? Calgary Tesla can't swap all seasons for winter, so I can drive it home myself. Calgary Tesla is not willing to let me tow it home myself on a U-Haul trailer that I rent, that I get them to pay for it. So here you can see that day, your Model 3 order has been canceled. New Year's Eve. So, I know this video is going long, but I just this will be part one of a multi-part series, but I hope some of these things are going to help all of you understand how things could work if you're trying to buy a Model 3 with Tesla in Canada, or at least between dealing with the Calgary Tesla. So what did I learn? So first of all, I learned don't trust Tesla at face value. I never had any email stating that they would deliver to my house by Friday, a specific date. It was only over the phone. That was number one. Number two, Tesla customer service is terrible. And you just have to take a look on YouTube, take a look around the internet, and you're going to see that's a universal criticism. Tesla customer service is terrible. Now, hopefully it'll be different. I'll talk about that later, but anyways, it just is. Teslas also do not come with a spare tire or a jack. That's just kind of a side note. I've learned these things in the meanwhile. So just know that if you buy a Tesla and you're in a position like me where you need to drive it some kind of a distance, I've got a link here. I'll pop it in to my web browser so you can see, but there's really like one option that I found, and it's this website, modernspare.com, and they have this kit, and it's pretty expensive, but they've got the spare tire, they've got a jack, they've got the sort of socket set, and it all comes with a nice bag and everything. So to me, that's something pretty important. Anyways, next point, there is no negotiating the price when you buy a Tesla. One thing I learned, I had read it online, and I tried. I mean, like I told you, to rescue this $80,000 purchase, they wouldn't even swap tires. They wouldn't. For me, it was a matter of principle. They've inconvenienced me. They've broken promises. They're going to do something for me. No, they're not going to do anything there. They'll fly me there, but they won't swap tires. Crazy. So maybe perks like delivering to your house or flying, maybe those perks exist, but at this point, I don't even know if those things are real, right? Those are just broken promises at this point. In British Columbia, there's a rebate if you install your home charger. So the comedy of all this, I canceled that order, and when I got home back to BC, I had already lined everything up with an electrician, and the wall charger had arrived. So on that Friday, everything was installed nicely. I had my wall charger with the NEMA 1540. I also which I kind of learned this later, you don't need to buy the Tesla wall charger. If you install that NEMA 1540 plug, the dryer plug, that's good enough, and you pretty much you get the same amount of charge from that as you do from the Tesla wall charger. So that's just another side note you should know about. But the other thing I want to mention here is that if you live in BC, BC Hydro, our electric company, offers a rebate if you install a charger at home. So check out this website if you do install an outlet for charging at home. There's a rebate. Another thing is, where do we have this? Yeah, I am not seeing it here. Still not. Anyway, all right, so there's this thing called a CHAdeMO adapter. Oh yeah, I have the link right here, so I will open it up. So if you live in BC, you know, you have the Tesla superchargers, but they're very limited in terms of where you're going to find them. This adapter here, and you can see it's pretty pricey, I would say is critical to get this, at least right now, if you live in British Columbia, even in Canada. To get high-speed charging outside of Tesla superchargers, like for BC Hydro, which is a local electric company, Canadian Tire, Petro-Canada, these are gas stations that are getting higher speed electric plug-ins for EVs, you'll need this adapter to get a faster charge from your Model 3. Get this adapter. You'll need a NEMA 1540 for the dryer plug for your house. You can plug those into campsites. But anywhere else, and I'll show you an example here. So you can see here there's plug share. And for me, if I want to drive home, from Vancouver, there's an area which is very light on chargers. First of all, sort of the last Tesla supercharger is down here at Hope, BC. Once you start going north, all these other plugs, they're not superchargers. You're going to need these yellow ones. They're like the faster chargers, and these green ones are super slow, kind of useless. To get home in the same day, you're going to need that CHAdeMO adapter to charge at these higher speed BC Hydro sites. Here's one, in, for example, in Cache Creek. This one's critical, I would say. I click here, and you can see here's a 50 kilowatt charger, and it's got two plugs, CHAdeMO and CCS. Well, Model 3 does not have support for CCS, not yet. So you need that CHAdeMO adapter. Get the CHAdeMO adapter. Nobody had pointed that out, I want to say. So you kind of need to know what adapters do you need to do the kind of driving in your area that you require. So January 2nd, so this is the earliest I could after getting disappointed by Tesla in Calgary. January 2nd, the day after New Year's, I contact Vancouver. I immediately have them, I check to see if they have a CHAdeMO adapter, because online they're completely sold out. You can't find them anywhere. And from reading online, people are selling these adapters marked up hundreds of dollars because they know it's very hard to get them. So I contact Vancouver Tesla. They have one left, one. So I buy it right away and I tell them to hold it. I also purchase Model 3 online, and 5 to 8 weeks. That's how long it's going to take for me to get my Model 3. And by the way, I don't believe Calgary in anything they said about delivering to my house anyway. They made multiple promises, they broke it. So I'd rather wait 5 to 8 weeks and deal with Vancouver than dealing with Calgary. That's kind of where I got to at that point. I ordered winter tires through Calgary or through Vancouver, and they promised to install those winter tires. When I ordered the winter tires, I saw in that email I got a VIN number, so I know what my VIN number is probably going to be. And driving from Vancouver to Prince George, 782 kilometers. It's a 9-hour drive using a normal gasoline vehicle. So it's going to be very interesting, and I'll make a video about that whole experience and what happens as things progress here. So I learned from videos online, watching many videos after getting disappointed from Calgary, thinking, am I the only person this has happened to? And I found out many people have been disappointed by Tesla in general when it comes to customer service. So I sent an email to the Vancouver sales rep after doing the purchase and everything. I said, look, I need the winter tires and rims installed so that I can drive home to Prince George. And I need the CHAdeMO adapter that I paid for, that you have in your office, ready for me to go. In other words, don't lose it, don't misplace it. These are critical things. The original all-season tires, put them in the back seats and in the trunk, right? I paid for both sets of tires. Make sure they're there. Please confirm that I will be able to get my insurance at your office at the time of purchase, plus license plates. They said they would do that. I need to know if I have to get insurance here first or not. And then I said, look, I've heard many horror stories and experienced some with the Calgary Tesla with Tesla customer service. So I am really hoping to have a great experience this time, as I will be driving a long distance to get home and would really like to avoid delays, cancellations, since I'm flying to Vancouver for this when the time comes. So that is part one of my Tesla story. Right now the car, it's been 2 weeks basically since I ordered it, so we will see how this unfolds. If you want to hear more stories like this or anything related to technology, be sure to subscribe to my channel, and have a great one. Bye.